All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Houdini Hangout. It is Friday, the 18th of March. Having a little bit of internet trouble for a little bit tonight. Seems like I reset everything over here and it's working now. So I'm sure those of you that don't have fiber optic internet know the struggles, that the struggle is real with upload speeds and things like that on a regular cable internet connection. So yeah, it's always fun just resetting everything. Anyways, so here we are. It's Mardini. It's the 18th day of Mardini because it's March, so obviously that makes sense. And today we are going to be looking at the cable generator. And should be a pretty interesting node. I honestly don't know a ton about it, to be completely honest. I played with it a little bit the other day just to see what it was like, but really very, very minimal. So yeah, let's see what happens. And we'll go from there. So hopefully if you guys are following along with the Mardini challenge, you guys are getting some good stuff in. I've seen some of your work on the forums and some people getting their stuff selected for prizes and things like that, or whatever, first, second, third place. So it's cool. Really, really good stuff. I really love seeing all your guys' stuff. It's fantastic. So super kind of gets me all pumped up to want to get out here and do something else. So yeah, kind of a crazy week for me. I think a couple things changed as we went, but hey, here we are. We're ready to go. So all right, let's play around with the cable generator node. And as always, just want to put it out there that I'd love to hear from you guys in chat. If you guys are, looking for any, help, any thoughts, anything like that, love to hear that as well. If you guys have suggestions for what I'm working on, or a better way to get to the result that I'm looking for, please, by all means, reach out. Let me know what your thoughts are. I am not the end all be all to in Houdini, so just happy to get to learn from you guys. Hopefully, you guys can learn something from me, and yeah, we'll go from there. So, all right, let's play around with this node a little bit. Well, the first thing, as always, I'm going to do, grab a geometry node, put that down, and let's just take a look at how this works. We got the cable. If I can type cable generator here. Takes a second. I think there's quite a bit of stuff in there. Sure is. Look at all that stuff in there. Scary. So what it's looking for is a curve or a surface and a collision geometry if required. So really all I need to do here is I could set up, I'm just going to do like maybe a 2 view here and do this to be maybe a front viewport, just so we can get a good sense of this. And I'm just going to draw a curve in here. So I'm just going to type down curve. I'm going to do it right in the viewport. Should make a curve and get me all set up here. So you can see that I'm obviously drawing on this plane here on the X plane. So I'll just move this over a little bit here. So I'll just make a point, make one down here, something like that, make one here, going down here. We can just kind of see how exactly this works. Pretty straightforward little curve, but that's okay. I'm going to use the middle mouse button here to click and drag on that, and that will allow you to like move things around. So all right, so we got a curve. That should be wrong thing. Sorry. We got a curve here. It's a Bezier curve. Let's just drop it in, see what happens. My guess is it'll convert it for us, and sure enough, wow, makes those huge cables, absolutely gigantic. Don't know why they're so big, but let's tweak that a little bit. So it's a 0.5 meter wide on the radius. We definitely don't want that. So let's make that a little smaller, maybe quite a bit smaller. Okay, cool. There's obviously not a ton of divisions here. So let's mess with that a little bit as well here. Spacing. Okay, that's between each other, right? So we'll just adjust that a little bit anyways so that they're a little closer, because that's like how far apart they are. Let's see here. Resolution. That probably needs to get turned down. There we go. All right, now we're getting somewhere. Okay. So we got those. Let's turn the spacing maybe down a little bit. Oh, that's part of our issue here is the spacing variation is gigantic as well. So let's turn that down a little bit. Let's get the spacing variation going. Something like that maybe. Got some cables now. It's very interesting that this is like looking for a much bigger cable. So let me just reset this here. Let me revert this to factory defaults, and let's just try this at a like a 10 times. Let's go up a whole order of magnitude here. Oh, hey there. I think I just saved this as some nothing project. It caught me right in the middle and autosave. All right, let me save this as. I totally forgot. That's always my number one flaw is I always forget to just save when I get so excited, just get started and forget. All right, so let's save this as cable generator. Cool. All right, so there we go. Got some curves going on here. You know what? I wonder if it doesn't like this sharp point. I bet you it doesn't. So let's tweak that. So select this, hit enter, and I'm just going to grab this point here and just, let's see here. We can edit the Bezier handles, I believe. So let me do that. I can go into F. I can hit F, and that should, yep, be an edit. And then if we look here, you can see if we control left click, we can repull these tangents. So that'll allow me to repull those, and then I can move this back up here. So there we go. Nice. All right, let's see how that looks. I mean, this is kind of silly to do it at that scale, but cool. Okay, so that's a little bit better. I wonder if I turn this off, if this will be any better for us. Let's just try this one more time here. Let's see here. Radius, turn that way down again. Nope, it's even more confused now. Look at that. Huh. Guess it just doesn't like that tiny little scale. It's all right. All right, there we go. We'll use this. I'm going to go back to one view. We'll just look at it this way. All right, so we got these cables here. We can obviously see we can space them, in or out. We can go up a little further here. Seems like it wants at least one on the spacing. Can adjust the spacing variation. There we go. We can tweak these radius values. The resolution is obviously going to be along the curve itself, and then columns is just going to be how many divisions it has around it. So we can leave that for right now. Add ends. Cool. We got some actual plugs there. That's kind of neat. I didn't even see that last time. Cool. So then you can also do stuff like this with sub cables. You can enable those and put a whole bunch of sub cables in here and just let those go a little crazy around there, kind of wrap all around. Can adjust the sub radius a little bit just so they're a little thicker. Now those are also getting all tweaked up in there as well. That's really interesting. I don't understand. I wonder if it's because of this Bezier curve. Let's try that. Let's try, instead of doing a Bezier curve, let's just try maybe a polygon instead. No, that's not going to like that. Let's just resample it first. Let's do that. Let's resample it. Now we should have points. This should be a polygon. Perfect. Let's see here. Nope, still doesn't like that. Don't understand what's going on there. About detangle. Not going to do anything nice. Nope. Very interesting. I'm not sure why we're getting this pinching here. I mean, I'm really not doing anything crazy. Putting a curve in, resampling it. That's about it. I mean, gosh, you can't get much simpler than that, I feel like. Just up this a little more just to make sure it's not a scale thing. Look at that. Still having some problems there. Just went back to the labs cable generator 1 to see if that was any different, but that seems to be totally different. Interesting here. Input type curve. Yep, that's right. Input polygons as straight edges. Okay, let's see here. It just doesn't like that many of them. Could be that. Just they're too far away, maybe. tweak this a little bit. Detangle them as well, just to kind of see what's going on here. Sorry, I'm just kind of trying to get an idea for exactly what we should be expecting with this tool, just so I can understand what's going on here. So hopefully you'll get a little sense as well. So you can also twist around them like this. I'm going to turn the points off so we can see these curves a little bit better. There we go. So we're getting some crazy twists there. Now, obviously, that might be too much. I might want to bring that back a little bit. The other really neat thing that you can actually add in here is like a pseudo-gravity sim that will kind of work along these and like drag them down a little bit so that they're hanging down. We can, I believe, affect the gravity here. Fortunately, this is a little on the slow side, but that's okay. We can tweak that. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. It's sagging quite a bit more. So that's starting to get to be a little bit more of an interesting look. I'm going to turn the subcables down to whatever their default is. Yeah, maybe, sure, 1 for right now. Maybe like 3, just to make sure it's not too crazy. Yeah. So, all right. So we've got these cables and stuff here, and it just seems like we really need to get something maybe dynamic with this. I'm thinking is what I want to do. So I'm thinking to do maybe something like just a simple vellum sim and then feed that into this cable generator and just kind of see where it gets us. And then we'll kind of go from there. So maybe, I'm thinking maybe it's like we get a bunch of these cables like in between two, maybe like, I don't even know if it's like a building, but maybe just like in like a some sort of like a trench between two walls or something like that. Just get a whole bunch of cables kind of going back and forth, maybe down the walls and stuff. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. If you guys have any suggestions, love to hear them, but that's what I'm going to go for. So let's give that a shot. All right. I'm just going to remove this. That was just kind of me playing around. So get out of here. All right. So let's do this. Let's do Geo. Let's do, let's just make a couple, let's call this like, maybe like Geo Alley. Like that. I'm going to color this green, go into here, make a box. Let's do it. Oh, geez. Let's make it pretty big because it seems like it wants something pretty big. So let's do like 10 on that, on the y-axis. Maybe, no, sorry, 20 on the, 20 on the x-axis. That looks good. And then we'll do, that's fine. Oops, 1 is fine in the z. And then I am going to, I'm going to transform this. Well, first of all, actually, I'm going to set this up so that it's on the ground plane. Probably easiest way to do that would be just in this here. I'll just take the size, copy the parameter, paste relative references, and just divide that by 2. And that should be good. And now we've got a box that's always going to live on the ground plane. And then we can just back this off a little bit here, maybe by maybe like 10 or something like that. I don't know. Sure, why not? Looks fun. And then I'm just going to transform that. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'll actually transform both of these. I'll set this back to 0. Just transform 1 in 10, oops, not 10 degrees, 10 in that axis, and 10 over here. I'll do -10 in the z-axis there. And then we'll have 2 different sides that we can merge back together. So if I shift click those and drop them in there, now we got 2 walls. And I think I'm going to have like some cables like draped across those maybe. Let's see. I'm going to do the transform. Actually, no, I'm going to make this a little bit longer because I think it would be better if it's a little longer. So let's do something crazy like 40. I don't know. Just feeling a little crazy. And then we could maybe, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work, but maybe we do something like this where we kind of use this wall to kind of like block it off. And maybe we have like a bunch of cables in here. I don't know. No real ideas yet, just kind of spitballing. Actually, you know what? Maybe instead of that, I'll do a another box for the end so that we can have like an end to this alley down here. Maybe I'll do some like, I don't know, sci-fi panels or something to break this up and make it look a little more interesting, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Actually, I'm going to duplicate this box because I already have like the height set up, and that's great. And instead of being 10 in this axis, I'm just going to change it to be 1 in that axis. Let's see. And then I can copy this parameter here. Put this over here just to make this a little more procedural, since this is Houdini after all. And we want our x-axis to be, oops, let's paste relative references and multiply that by 2. Nope, wrong axis, sorry. Paste relative references, multiply it by 2. So this is going to double the length of it, and then we can set that back in space to the wall. So I'll just transform that as well. Drop that down, and I'll just template this, and then push this back here. So there we got a wall in the back. Great. And I can merge that in as well. Let's just hit L to kind of rearrange this a little bit, clean our network up so we got this nice. Just going to call these maybe something like put a null down, call these, you know, basic alley geo. Probably going to tweak this after the fact, but this will be kind of a point where we can start doing some stuff here. The other thing I'm going to want to do is scatter some points in this, like maybe on either side of this here to make some connections. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make a couple groups here. So let's take this, and I'm going to do a selection. I'm just going to select this polygon and just group that. And I'll just call that our wall. And then I'm going to come over here, select just this, and do, oops, yeah, there we go. Do another group and call that L wall. Great. So that way I can just take this geometry right in and not have to, like, you know, have a bunch of different streams of geometry all moving through here. I can just have those groups set up nice and simply. So, all right, there's my basic alley geo. Just really simple. I'll probably tweak that a little bit after we get through here. Let's do another geo node. Let's set up, let's do geo. Maybe we'll call this cable setup. I think we might do a sim of these. We'll see. We'll see if we can make it work good enough to then feel like we want to sim it a little bit. All right, so let's jump in here and let's object merge. Let's bring in our basic alley geo, and that's great. We'll call this in alley geo. And then let's do a scatter. I'm going to do maybe 2 different scatters here. I'm going to set this to the group. Let's start with the left wall, I guess. And maybe I'll do like, I don't know, 25 or something like that. And I'm going to turn off the relax iterations because I don't want these to get all, if you have the relax iterations on here, you can see they get pushed out to the edge of this polygon. And I really don't want that to happen. So I'm going to turn that off. Oop, not randomized point order, but the relax iterations. And then that'll push them in a little bit more towards the center. The other thing I could do as well would be to, if I wanted to like scale this poly down or whatever, you know, obviously it's just one big polygon right now. So, you know, that I could adjust. I could also maybe, if I wanted to divide this first and then just select some of those polygons to be where the cables are getting attached. But for right now, I'm just going to let it be kind of random and crazy. So we'll see what happens. All right. So we got a scatter here, and let's just duplicate that. And instead of left wall, we'll do right wall. Great. And what I'm going to do between these two is just make sure we have the same total. So I'm going to copy the parameter. For some reason, my right click, sometimes I notice that it doesn't like stay clicked if I just click it once. I'm not sure what the deal is with that, but it's really annoying. So anyways, so if I come over here and click it, it just goes away. I don't know why. Anyways, great. So we got 25 on each side. Let's see. Can I output a group here? They don't have a group, do they? Primitive C. Nope. Okay. So, oh, interesting. That's both of them. I don't want to have both of them. My bad. There we go. Just the right wall. Then I can merge those back in together. I'm probably going to want to have those grouped as well. Actually, they might. Can I take? No, I can't, unfortunately. I was going to say I could take the primitive number of it, but unfortunately probably won't. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I could do that. So what I could do is just make this do a primnum attribute on both of these, and then that's kind of just going to act like my like some sort of a group, more or less. I mean, it's kind of a silly way to go about doing it, but I mean, it's simple enough to do. So if you look at my geometry spreadsheet, half of them have 6 as the primitive and half of them has 1. So I can just group them by that. I can use that to make sure these are making connections and stuff like that. So there's a few different ways I could like make these lines here to start with. I'm thinking, I could possibly do it with like an add node. Let's just try that real quick, since that's kind of the simplest thing to do. And I could probably do it by group and do it by skip every nth point. Let's see. Could I do it like this? Yeah, actually that does work. Look at that. Perfect. So what I'm doing here is, because I have 25 points, if I skip to the 25th point, that's going to connect it to the other group's 25th point. So I didn't even have to add that attribute. So that's kind of a fun little trick right there. Kind of a quick and easy way to make a bunch of connections. What I could do to make this dynamic as well is I could come up here, copy this parameter, go down here, paste that relative reference, and then these are all driven together. So if I up this to 50, that's all just going to just roll right together. So let's just try this with 10 for now. We don't need to go too crazy. All right, so let's resample these. Resample them. A couple more points in here I think would be good. That's way too many. So let's turn this off and do maximum segments. We'll just tell it how many we want. Maybe like 20, something like that. Cool. All right, so let's see if we can't grab our cable generator here and just see what we start to get here. Let's do a cable generator. I am going to save this just to make sure that this doesn't freak anything out. All right, we're starting to get somewhere. We got some gigantic cables. So let's turn these down here. Let's also turn this, maybe the spacing down again. Hopefully that'll play nice. Yeah, it looks like that's working. All right, we got some cables starting. I'm going to turn these points off just so we can see a little bit better what's going on here. And let's see, spacing variation. Sure, something like that. Let's see if we do like a pseudo. Okay, all right, we're getting somewhere now. I'm curious. I am very curious right now how quickly this is going to update. So let's see here. If I grab one of these points, let me see. I'm going to go into point mode. Let me see what happens if I just grab one of these and start playing around with it. All right. So it must just be that curve tool is really giving us some issues, because this seems to be plenty fast. It's not struggling at all, which I was kind of surprised that it was. So, all right. So this is going to be a lot more robust, which is great. Let's do, we'll just have a little bit of pseudo gravity here. Let's see if we couldn't do a, maybe like a quick vellum simulation here, just to get some movement on these and then kind of see what happens. I'm kind of not sure what would happen there, but let's see. Now I know that there is also this wire simulation here, but not sure exactly how this will work. Let's take a look at it real quick. And it's doing nothing. think I might want to click that. I don't know. Oh, you know what this is going to do? This is going to do yeah, this is not going to do a actual like real-time simulation. Now I'm seeing this is frame 30. So if we go to like 10, it's probably going to be like less drapey, or maybe even like 2. It's going to just only do maybe a couple frames. Nope, not. I have no idea what it's doing. Let's see. Okay, there we go. 10. If we reset it. Oh, wow. That's freaking out. Don't like that. All right, let's go back to pseudo gravity. That's just going to help it drape a little bit. So, cool. Let's do a few things here. Let me see how many samples this is again, just so I can remember. Okay. Maybe we don't even need that many. Maybe we could do like 10 or something like that. Okay, cool. So then I'm going to do a quick curve UV because it's a great node. Check out the AElib toolkit if you're looking for some great nodes. That and QLib, both really nice setup. And this one has a nice little thing here that can create a start and end attribute. So then I can use this to create these two attributes here. So I know where my ends are and I know where my starts are. So I could also do an ends group as well. And then if I look at that under my little visualizer here and look at what the ends are, you can see it's only the ones that are attached to the wall. So that's going to help us out quite a bit. And we could do curve U if we wanted to as well. We can get that from the resample. So that's not necessary to get from this quick curve UV, but I really like being able to get this ends group super quick. This does obviously give us curve U. So we'll just keep that and just keep going from there. So let's do a vellum. Let's do a vellum configure hair, maybe. See? And then actually, you know what? I'm going to change this to not be hair and be maybe string instead, because we don't actually need it. Like, I think the hair has a orientation that it saves. I think if we look at the difference here, hair has some orientation stuff and string doesn't. So let's try that. Let's grab that ends group that we made and we'll put that into this pinpoints right here. So now you can see that this has a visualization that these are pinned and that's not going to fall down. So I'm actually going to just pull this down here. We're going to add a couple more things in here. So great, the ends are permanent. Let's look at the thickness because it's probably really gigantic. That's actually fine because there's going to be a bunch of cables here actually. So it's good to kind of have that a little bit. And what I could do here is turn off the pseudo gravity, and this is going to, hello? It was going to do something. What is it doing now? Must not be happy about some of these attributes I'm feeding in there. So let's just do this. Let's do an attribute delete right here. And I'm going to turn this off for a second. Okay, that's fine. Just make sure. So it doesn't mind. It basically is okay with anything except the stuff that this vellum hair node is making, which not super surprising. It's adding a P scale, a mass. There's some drag tangents and things like that. So, I mean, I guess it makes sense, but it's just kind of funny that that's really freaking it out. Great. So I'm going to we could just do this, delete all attributes, which is just stars and everything. And that'll get us back to where we need to for this cable generator. So I'll just leave that there. We know that that's going to do what it needs to. So great. No harm, no foul. And let's just take a look at this. Actually, that's a decent approximation of how thick some of these things are. So we'll leave it like that. That'll at least give us maybe a little bit of collisions there that might happen. And in fact, you know what? I'm going to add a little bit more resampling here because let's do 15 instead. Because it'd be nice to have at least enough to like, yeah, let's try that. We'll see how that goes. We might need to change the density a little bit, some of these things, but we'll check it out first. So let's do vellum solver. I'm actually going to cut this for right now and just grab these 3, drop them in there. Great. Let's just see what happens here. They should sag down. Yeah, pretty much what I expected. All right, great. There's probably going to be a bit of no, actually it's starting to damp out some of that movement and stuff there. If you see that there's a lot of extra movement and stuff like that, you should be able to take this damping ratio down a little bit. So like maybe if we did like 0.5 for the damping ratio, that should bleed out some more velocity from these, and they should kind of lose their speed a little bit more. Maybe just let them rest a little bit quicker. So sometimes that can help if you have things that aren't like resolving properly. All right, that seems all fine and good. Let's then take our geometry out, put it over here, and I just want to see what's going to happen here, see if this will work. I'm just going to turn that down, and let's see. Yeah, something's going on there. It's definitely going quick enough. All right, so let's mess with some stuff here. Let's turn on the detangle, see if that helps us. Not really. Oh, main and sub cables. Yeah, that's probably going to freak it out a bit because it's probably not going to like that they're moving. It's probably going to jump them all over the place. Yep, we don't want to do that. That's fine. So maybe what we do here is we just make these a little bit thicker. Let's do 0.5. And let's get some solver here. So unfortunately, it might be seeing that these are, let's go to visualize. Let's show thickness maybe. Oh, that's interesting. It's actually making those thinner. Oh, it must be because failed self-collision. Is that what we're seeing here maybe? Obviously changing color. So that's seeing something as like a collision issue, I think. So I wonder if we could do a vellum post-process here. So the reason I'm kind of doing this first is just to make sure that I can get these wires to do something that I want them to do. And then we can kind of go from there. Oh, wow. Hi there. That's a post-process. Let's see. See if this does anything pleasant. Not quite. Not quite. It does want to detangle these, but not in the way that I was hoping. I like that. Boom. All right, that's not working either. So let's keep tweaking this a little bit. Maybe what we could do is just wonder if we couldn't do some sort of like a relax type thing just to push these apart a little bit. I could try that. I think I'm going to just up the density on these a little bit. Well, that's a lot actually. So let's see what that does. Not sure if that's going to make them hang down like way more or what that's going to do. Yeah, it probably is going to make them a little heavier. All right, cool. I like this one here. This one's pretty funny. It's literally just straight across. Maybe what I'll do is just change the seed over here on this one. There we go. Cool. The other, I am actually thinking that this is going to want to be taller. I think we're going to want to make this a much taller thing so that this can kind of all live in a better space. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of go back up to this alley setup here and just tweak this a bit. So let's go back to hide. We don't want to see all that stuff get calculated again. So let's change our box height first of all to, and what I'll do is I'll actually copy this parameter from the two side boxes, put it over here, and I'm going to paste that. So those will all change when I change that. So I'm going to change this up to maybe 20. That'll be good. Then I'm also going to copy that parameter and paste it over here. These are just going to be so I don't have to change it on both sides if I want to do this again. So let's see. I'm going to add a couple divisions like that, I think. And then that way I can make some selections. I actually don't even need to on this end, but that's fine. Whatever. it's all doing its thing. So now I'm going to come back to this group and I'm just going to select those primitives instead. So I'm just going to select these 3 middle primitives, and I'm sure that selected the ones on the back. Sure did. So let's make sure we turn on this select visible geometry, and I actually like using the brush better anyway. So we'll just do that. Cool. Hit enter. Go over to the left wall, do the same thing there. Obviously this isn't like a procedural part of it, but just kind of gives us control, a little bit more manual control of it. Cool. So we got those 2 things set. So those are the same sections. You know, we have 2 sections that those scatters are going to happen in. And now we can just go back over to this geometry, and sure enough, they're all right there in the middle. So actually, no, I'm gonna have them go all the way to the top. Why not? Why not? So I can just select this, shift click that, hit enter, and then the same thing over here. Oops. Select that, shift click, enter. Great. All right. So now we've got our geometry coming in here. I'm just gonna maybe, oh, you know what? That's why I didn't ghost it. So I'm gonna ghost those again. Great. So we've got some cables set up in here. Now if they hang down, they're gonna kind of sit in space. It's feeling a little bit more, I don't know, sci-fi alley-esque. I don't know. We'll see. Cool. All right. So obviously we've got plenty of control over these cables, so that's great. Let's just see if we threw in like 25, like what would happen here, because I'm not really sure. Let's just go for it. I'm going to turn that thickness off just so we can visualize it a little differently here. Great, those are looking pretty good. Cool. All right. Let's get somewhere now. Those are definitely doing some stuff, but let's see if we can't make those do something here to push apart a little bit here. Up this a little bit just so that we don't run out of memory if we add more cables in. All right, let's see how this cable generator's looking. Yeah, that does kind of stink. I wish I could get those to separate. All right, let's think about that. All right, so let's try to relax before we get to our geometry here, because we do have a p-scale attribute going on here on these cables. And so why don't we try to push these apart based on their p-scale? So I'm going to do a point relax. Just try to push these apart so that they don't all start in that exact same position. So let's see here. Let's push them apart like so. So now this might be a little bit of a messy start to this, but we don't have to use maybe that first frame, of this. And obviously we could push this way crazier and they're all going to go nuts, but let's keep the point radius scale at 1, and we can up the iterations if we felt like that was helping us, but it's really not doing too much. So just leave it like that. We can relax it in 3D space, and let's see where that puts us here. Let's see if that gets us in a better condition to start. So let's take a look at this. No, unfortunately, they're still going through each other. It's interesting. I'm going to take this out because we're not using that right now. All right, let's try changing this back to 2D, not relax in 3D space, but just like that. Let's see if that does anything better for us. Might. Let's see. Okay, so what I'm going to try instead is I'm going to try to add a few more lines in the resample. So let's try that. Like so. Let's take a look at this. Those are getting smaller. Yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to set these to a uniform size instead of calculating them, because as I change this, they're changing their thickness. And so that's, oops, sorry, kicked my garbage can under the desk. That's not doing us any favors. So let's actually go back here, see where we were, and then I can kind of tweak it from there. So this was originally at like 0.5. I'm going to use the cable generator just to kind of see the thickness of those. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. I might do it 0.65, maybe just to give them a little more thickness. Might be a little hard to see on your screen, but I'm also going to maybe turn these down just to like 10, just so I can visualize that a little better. It's doing some really weird stuff there, but actually if we can start this on a frame where they're not intersected, it'll eventually kind of settle down into a frame where they're doing something better. All right, so we're looking okay there. Everything's looking pretty good. Let me up the resample here. Now this should not change. That's funny. Shouldn't change where. Oh, okay. It's not going to change where they are, but the problem is now the scale is actually bigger than that. So that's than the distance. So what I just did there, which was really not smart of me, was I actually changed the resample so that it's so that the size of it is actually smaller than these individual spaces are. So they all think they're colliding. So it's all like bunching up. So let me just roll that back for a second. And yeah, maybe it's like, yeah, maybe it's in here somewhere. 18 maybe? Take a look at that. Nope, that's still a little too big. Okay, so 15 should be fine. We'll do 15. Let it do its thing. Cool. All right, so let's let those all fall down. See if they do something decent. Let's see what our cables are looking like here. Anything intersecting? No, it doesn't look like they're intersecting, so that's good. Ah, and then they go back. What are they doing? What are they doing to me? Interesting. That one's weird. I don't know what happened there. Like twisted. All right, let's just try something different here. Might as well just try this hair constraint just to make sure it's not that. These should more or less be the same, and then we'll just look here and see what happens. Interesting. They're a lot saggier. Yeah, I don't want that. We'll go back to the string. We can make it work. All right. So I just wonder if maybe we're just still getting a little too close there with those attributes. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do instead. What I'm going to do is I'm going, because I think what it's assuming here is that these points are like beginning intersected, I think. And so that's why it's like kind of freaking out. So let's see if we can't get it to do that first, and then we come down here and the P scale is set to 0.65. So what we could do here is take the vellum hair, we could copy this parameter, bring it up to relax, paste it into here, and now those should all relax properly away. Then if we set this, those should all be set like that. And I don't think those will think that they're intersected to start. So let's see if anything better happens here. Might be better, it might not. Let's see. Nope, not better. Very curious. I'm not sure why these are getting smaller. That is a very strange thing to see, I feel like. Let's take a look at how these cables are falling down. That's interesting there. It is actually working with that, though. It's kind of fascinating. It's like this cable is like draping down. Interesting. I'm just going to up the substeps once here to see if that helps us at all, if that helps us constrain these a little bit better and not have them move all over the place quite as much. It might. In fact, yeah, maybe it does. Maybe. Let's do this here. Let's just up this a couple more times. Let's maybe bring this up to 18, something like that. Maybe 17. And then try it again. Yeah, that's really doing some strange things there. I don't know why that's getting so much smaller and that collision's going away. Let's go to advanced. Let's see here. Let's see here. What if we just up this a little bit? Collision passes. Maybe that'd help us out. Turn this back down a little bit just so that we're not reducing those quite as much. Trying to push them up. All right, let's try this. See if this does anything better. Nope, doesn't seem to be. All right, so instead of trying to have so many things like start off like this and they're all going to be intersecting and things like that, what if instead we started with some cables like in here, like maybe not so many. Maybe we do, I don't know, maybe like 6 cable. I don't know. Let's see. Maybe that's good. Just tweak these seeds around a little bit, see where we get. That, I don't know. So maybe we start with some cables like in an alleyway and then we just drop a whole bunch on top of them and just kind of see what happens. I think that could be kind of fun. Could be kind of interesting. Don't actually really love how that's looking. They're all like so angled. Oh, it's because I'm only changing the one side. That's right. So let's bring this back and just see what we can do here. Interesting. Let's see if I turn that off. Yeah, that should be fine. Let's see. See what happens here. All right. All right. See if we can't get a couple more in here. Just let them do their thing. Nope, that's too many again. Deflecting. It's like they just want to intersect so badly. And see if that does the trick. It's mad at me about invalid radius attribute. What are you talking about? Oh yeah, we don't have a p scale on there. That makes sense. Just add one on real quick. Just make a p scale. Just call this p scale. Make it as a float. Value of 1. Now it's happy. Not angry anymore. Thank you. Understand why those are doing that. That is really frustrating. If any of you have an idea of why those things are changing their size like that on a collision, let me know. I'd love to know. All right, let's see if we can't get this to be a little bit nicer. And maybe what we do instead is we just move them. You could always just move them, right? Because we got them random enough. So let's see. Let's see if we can get a global seed to change a little here. Let's check these maybe with the cable generator and make sure they're not doing anything too intersecting-y. Intersection-y? The word, I don't know what that, there's not too many intersections on them. You know what? Maybe this would actually help a little bit of relaxed iterations just to push them apart a little so that they're not all right on top of each other. Maybe that would help. Never know what'll help sometimes. Hey, that actually did help. Look at that. Sort of. There's always one. There's always one. One, one straggler that just can't get out of its own way. All right, let's see. Let's see here. How does this work? It looks pretty nice. Great. Um, I am going to let them stretch a little bit more. So let's bring this down maybe by quite a bit because I have a feeling that they're barely stretchy at all. So let's see. Stretchy at all. Let's keep going. I'm going to turn off that visualizer. Let's see. All right, there we go. Now maybe we're getting something a little more interesting here. Cool. Cool. All right, great. So that's starting to do something. Let's also, so now let's just see if we can't get some wires emitted up in the top here. So, what I will do instead is just get a line maybe, and we'll put them up in the top here. So let's do that in the direction of 100. So that is in our X direction here. Let's do a length of, gosh, 30 maybe, 40. We'll just drop a bunch of these in here. I'm going to use a match size because this is kind of a nice node too. And I'm going to do just the default is fine. It's going to center it, make sure it's in the right spot. So now if I change this line or do anything with the size of it, like it's going to be dead center right here. So you can see there's the 2 points right in the middle there. And if I make this longer, it's going to just keep it right in the middle like that. So anyways, is 40 too long? Let's see what 40 looks like. That should be fine. Cool. We'll just drop a whole bunch of cables in here and see what happens. All right, I might still be having some internet issues here, so oh, hey Paul. Sorry, I didn't see your message there. Hopefully you didn't just send that in. Oh yeah, okay. It says it's right now. So, is the issue of creating 4 cables per line? You know, I don't know if that's the issue. I mean, like that is certainly like what this is made for, you know? And like so if I up the number of cables here, they're all going to try to stay kind of around that general center spline, you know, and then we can, we can tweak the spacing and all that kind of stuff. And then, you know, these are still plenty fast, you know, and like we'll update. The only thing that's slowing it down here is it's just the sim that I have for the actual, the actual vellum stuff. So like that's really the thing that's, if anything, slowing this down. So I don't think it has to do too much with the number of cables that we're doing because like that seems fine. Like it seems all right. But yeah, it's I think it has more to do with yeah, I think this is starting to look a little better now. I think it had more to do with just the fact that they were like the collision for each of the center spines were like touching each other a little bit, and like when they do, it's like causing them to like forget about how big the collision size is for them. But yeah, that's an interesting point. Like certainly something interesting to keep keep in mind. But it seems all right. So I'm going to just apologize in advance if there is any weirdness with my internet connection. It seems a little flaky tonight, so there might be some intermittent issues. So please let me know if you're seeing anything. I'd rather at least know that it's happening. But yeah, so my apologies if it is. But I'm just going to keep trucking on. Hopefully it won't cause too much of a problem. I'm just seeing a couple drop frames here and there. So anyways, and I think I'm definitely going to up my get a new possibly a new modem for my connection. So that was something that someone had suggested, and I think I'm going to take that at least do something as soon as I can. So anyways, all right, so we've got these lines here that we're going to put in to the simulation. I'm going to do the same roughly to them. Let's do oh gosh, maybe 20 points for those. Back maybe a little bit more. And I'm actually just going to create a reference copy for this. I'm going to do actions, create reference copy. What that does is basically makes a completely like copied over version of that. Like everything is referenced in from this to this. So like this is going to have the exact same properties and everything as the original one. So that hopefully will work out just fine. So these are the things that I'm going to source into my simulation here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a null, and I really should only need these first two. So I'm going to call this one geo, and then this one cons like that. And these are going to source in these two things. So this is going to source in my vellum geometry. This is going to source in the constraint geometry. So that's why there's these multiple channels here in this node. So anyways, we got line, all that stuff. The next thing I'm going to do is I think I'm going to do one more thing here just as like some helper stuff. I'm just going to make this a little box around this just so I know what this is. I'm going to call this emit geo, just so I know what I'm working with here. And then I'm also going to create maybe just a little grid up at the, like a higher grid up here that I can use to source some points onto, and then have that be where these are getting emitted from. So I can like instance this onto points in the solver. I'll show you. You'll see what I mean in a second. So I'm going to do a grid here. This I'm just going to eye up. I'm not going to do anything too procedural here, but let's just make a grid. And I can just lift it up into the air. In fact, I don't think I want it that big because I only want there to be some points in the middle here that are going to get scattered around. And in fact, now that I'm thinking of it, probably grid's not even the most logical thing because I could just do 1 point and raise it up. So forget that. Sorry guys, sometimes this stuff is just on the fly and I'm just thinking out loud. So the grid is going to try to make, if I try to scatter a point on that, it's going to give it too much room. So instead what I'm going to do is use an add node, create 1 point, move that up in the y-axis. So maybe up to, oh gosh, I don't know, here, just so we don't see them like popping in. Let's do 30 to try it out. We'll start there. And what I'll do is I'll just do a point jitter here just to give it some movement in its position. So this, you should see it move just a little bit there. Yep, nothing too crazy, but a little bit. And let's maybe give it a scale of 2.5. I don't know, just guessing. And for the seed, I'm going to do $F because I just want that to change every frame. So that should now, let me turn that back on. So that should now jump around on every frame, right? So that just gives us basically a random point to scatter from, random position. From there, I am going to do an attribute randomize and drop this in here. I'll do this as, actually do this as orient. Now this is something I realized the other day when I was doing some just learning stuff on my own. And what I can do is do direction or orientation. And if I set this to be in a dimension of 4, that is then a quaternion. And that is the what the orientation attribute is looking for. And so now, just for an example, if I took like this input geometry here and just did a copy to points, because that's basically what we're going to do inside of this vellum solver. So we're just going to drop this here and here. This is just going to be kind of our reference. So now we can see that that's kind of pointing in a crazy direction. Now, granted, we don't want it to point in that downward direction. We can adjust that a little bit more, but this is a way that we can adjust the orientation of these things. So we can also go over here and do the seed. So I can just do this and then just plus $F, and that'll just give us a different seed on every frame. So this is just going to go like crazy like that. So we're not going to source that in on every frame, but that's the orientation that these things will take. So it's kind of interesting, kind of weird, wacky looking thing, but you know, take it for what it's worth. And what I can do here, I believe, is now if I do a direction here, we should be able to bias it towards a direction. So let's see here. So if I do this, this is biasing it towards, let's see, towards which direction here? Towards 1 in the x-axis. So I think if I turn this way up, I think it'll try to mostly keep it, yeah, mostly in that axis. So that's doing pretty good. It's getting a little better. The other thing we could possibly do is this cone angle here. And so that is also the same kind of concept. And this might be a little easier to understand maybe. So like from this standpoint here, if we set this to 10, that's going to give us kind of a 10-degree cone that this can go in, right? So now this is just kind of bopping around, and it has about 10 degrees they can change. If I up this to 20, this can now move in a 20-degree cone in that, you know, from this x-axis. So like if I set this to be 1 like that, oh, that's strange. I would have thought that it would have done that. That is actually sort of odd. I'm not sure why that's doing that. Well, anyways, it was working before, so I'm happy with it. So we'll just leave it the way it is. Not 100% sure about that, but hey, I'm gonna have to look into that a little bit more. But this orientation thing definitely works a lot better than I was trying to set up like an N and all this stuff. And this is just a much cleaner way of doing it. Great. So we've got that, and this won't work if it's set to 3. It literally won't do anything because an orient attribute is 4. So this is just straight line. So let's do it like that. And actually for this point jitter, I can up the axis scale. If we think about it this way, we can do up the axis, the z-axis a little bit. So why don't we just double the z-axis, and then that, actually maybe even more. Let's quadruple it. And then that'll give us a little bit more in the z-axis that it can move around, right? It's not going to move around quite as much in the like if you look at this point here, it's not going to move around quite as much in the y or the x, but it'll move around a decent amount in the z. So I'm just going to call this, put another null here, put this down, and call this point instance. And this is just kind of for my reference, so I'm just going to delete that. Don't really need that anymore. Let's put a box around this just so I know why on earth this stuff is here. Call this instance, maybe source, so I know what that is. Great. So if we go into the vellum solver, we can do a vellum source here. Put that down. And then we can set up both of these things to find those paths. So we can do the SOP path here. We'll close up basic alley. And then here we've got our geo. So that's going to be our SOP path. And then for the constraint path, we're going to do the cons for constraint. That's all good. We're going to have the emission instance on points. And the instance points, we're going to set to be to the point instance right there. So that's great. Now the problem actually that I'm just now thinking about is that this is going to try to instance it every single frame it's going to try to add that in. And that's just going to get, I mean, you can see that's already insane. There's going to be a whole, every single frame, there's going to be one coming in. And there's the mess right there. We obviously don't want that. So let's just do a little trick here that I like to do. And I think this is a little easier to understand because you can actually maybe visualize it a little bit better. So I'm going to do a switch. I'm going to use the switch off, but you could just as easily set this with a switch like this and do it with a null. So like take the null and put it in here and then take this and put it in there, right? And then what you can do is you can switch back and forth between these and that'll give you your point to instance on or not. So this is actually the exact same thing that's inside of here. So it's just a cleaner visual way of doing that, but just understand that that is what's happening inside of there. So this is made by QLib, really nice thing. And so what I'm going to do is just do a simple expression in here. Let's say, let's not emit it right away. Let's give it a few frames because I'm probably going to only use later stuff in this. So let's actually first see where this sim kind of goes from. And I'm going to turn this off just to kind of see when I want those to start sourcing in. So let's play this for a second and see where this goes. Is this on 2 sub-step still? Might just turn that down. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's going fast enough. I mean, it's going in several frames a second. All right, so we could start this maybe at like, let's see where this could start. Why don't we start it at like frame 36? We'll start sourcing them in there. So we'll let those go for a second. Then at frame 36, we'll start bringing those in there. All right, so pretty simple from that standpoint. We just do $F is greater than 36. So that's going to work. The only problem is when we get, let's just look at this point instancer. So it's not there. There's no points. There's no point. Now there's points, but still every frame. So let's tweak that again. So let's look at this and we're going to say and, which just means like a Boolean and. So that's like a logical, like, so these both things have to be true. So and $F. And we'll do a modulo. Let's do modulo, I don't know, 8, just a guess, equals 0. And so what a modulo is basically saying, if you don't know, is saying every, like basically divide this frame by this number. And when that, which ends up giving you the remainder of those, and when that is equal to 0, that's when we're also going to source a point. So you'll see here that this should be now going pop, 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 and it's going to stay off for a few frames. So let's see what that does. Who knows? Let's just see. So let's play through this, and this should start sourcing points in at that. Oh, I got to turn it back on because it's not on inside of our Vellum solver here. Let's turn this back on. Now we can do it. Let's go. Comes one. They're just going to start falling. That's kind of nice. They're like colliding in midair and like kind of falling away from each other. That's funny. I did not expect that. That was really weird. So I guess we might be sourcing these a little bit too quick. Or the other thing, let's just look at what that's doing here because they seem like they're just falling so slow. Why are they falling so slow? Maybe just because they're so big. Maybe that's what it is. All right. So they're obviously falling too slow and they're doing some weird stuff. So let's now just add something to this. Let's add some velocity into this because here we're adding in, it's actually giving it a velocity, which doesn't seem like it's giving it any velocity. All right. So it isn't, it's just V of 0. See where that's going. Is that going into our geometry? Yep. I don't think our constraints have any. Yep. Nope. Doesn't have any velocity. So we could just do that on this stream here. So let's just bring this up. And I'm just going to do a point velocity just so we can kind of see that it's happening here pretty easily. We're not going to compute from deformation. We'll just, we're going to set it to a value. I think that works. And let's just do -5. So this is just going to help push it down instead of just letting it start from 0 and fall. This is going to actually inject some velocity as they come in. So let's see how this works. And this should help them stay kind of out of each other's way. They're not just kind of floating in midair and then falling. In fact, that could be because their mass is too low that they're falling so weird. Oh, wait a second. What? Huh. That's weird. All right. So we'll just keep the incoming and we'll add the velocity to -5 there. Hmm. That's weird. All right. What I'm going to do as well is I'm going to up the mass on these because I have a feeling that these are doing some weird stuff here. So let's change this. Let's go up another whole order of magnitude and see if that helps as well. Because I know that the mass can do some weird stuff. So let's go see what that does. I am not understanding why that's going up, but I'm just going to add 5, I guess. I don't understand why that's happening. It's like going up first. That's really bizarre. I'm telling it to go down -y, so I don't know what that's all about. That is really odd. I'm just going to do this set uniform. This is just going to add some little bit more mass in here. So let's see if this helps us out at all. In fact, it might start to make these slump down a bit more, which is okay. We can always turn the stiffness back up. And in fact, yes, it looks like they are slumping quite a bit more. Interesting. All right, I'm going to turn off the wind for a second. Not sure if that's causing some weirdness. Let's give that a shot. And I'm going to turn the stiffness back up on these because I think that was why these weren't really stretching that much. So let's go up, I don't know, 10,000. Sure. There we go. No, they're not stretching nearly as much. All right, we're starting it somewhere now. Let's see how this works. Getting a little tangly. Let's see what happens. Oh, jeez. Gotta move this garbage can. My apologies. I've kicked it like 10 times tonight. All right. All right, so let's do this. First of all, let's turn this down because this is sourcing too many in here. So let's do this. Let's do 12, every 12 frames. And this is with simulation. You always have to kind of go back and forth with these things and kind of find where the right settings are and things like that. So it's definitely always a little bit of a back and forth to some extent. All right, let's hit play on that, see what happens. See what our cable generator does here. All right, I'm going to turn these down a little. Let's go back to like 4 so we're not doing too many to see what starts to happen here. All right. Well, we're getting somewhere here. It's doing something. Not exactly doing what I wanted to yet. And in fact, that collision is just so far apart. So we actually need to take that down. I'm a little surprised by that, but hey, can make it work. All right. So let's take that thickness down a little here. Let's do this to like, I don't know, maybe zero point 0.3. Bring it down even more. That seems too small. Let's do 0.4. Maybe that'll work. Okay, let's try it. Because I guess this should hold up a little bit, even if even if you're, you have some of the, what do you call it, the geometry intersecting a little bit. If you're looking at it in like a wide context, you're not really going to see it too much. One more thing I'm going to do actually. I am going to reset the stiffness here. So we went in between those. And so I'm just going to up this stiffness to 5 because this multiplies by this. So it was at 10,000 and I'm going to set it to like 5,000. We'll see where that gets us because I feel like it's sagging a little too much. But at this point, yeah, that's better. That's great. The mass is making it bounce quite a bit more because it's like starting from like flat uh, setup and then kind of going down. So let's see where this gets us. Yeah, yeah. Starting to do something interesting. It's actually kind of fascinating in some ways because, um, in order to simulate something with this, with a ton of different um, a ton of different pieces of wire and geometry like this all kind of intersecting and going together, like it would be kind of tricky to do that, like in on this same scale. And so, to have this many pieces of geometry in there would be be pretty tough actually, So, um, let's see how this looks. I'm going to go back up to here and make sure we're all caching good. Yep. There we go. So from this standpoint, it's not like the cleanest looking simulation, but when it gets down here, it starts to do some interesting things. The other thing is we don't have a ground plane in here. So these things are just kind of falling down. So let me do that. Oh, forgot about the old ground plane. There we go. Ground position. Check. I think I'm also going to have this point jitter move a bit more on the maybe I'm maybe on this scale first of all. Maybe we'll do like 8. Then honestly, I'm thinking about the same in X as well, because if it moves back and forth like this direction, that could be really interesting as well. Because then it won't hang on top of all of those cables. So let's try that. Who knows? Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Who knows? Was there something here that I should be keeping? Let me see. Just double check here. Yep, that freaks it out. Let's see what actual attribute is absolutely freaking this out. Is it scale? Not the P scale. Just curious if there's anything better that we could do here to keep these orientations from like flipping around and stuff, because they kind of flip at the beginning. I don't love that, but what are you gonna do? Anyways, all right, let's see what happens here. I think the ground position is going to be a little bit more interesting. I don't know what's happening in this quasi sci-fi world where there's just cables falling from the sky, but it seems bad. Doesn't seem like a good idea. A whole mess of cables here. Yep, they're laying down on the ground as well. Okay. now we're getting our cables doing something here. So could do something like this here where they're kind of all just coming into the scene like that and just going crazy. Like maybe we do some interesting lights or something. I don't know. We'll see from there. But certainly is doing some things. I mean, there's a little bit of collision there, but that could possibly be taken care of with the detangle, actually, because they're not, because it's just a slight intersection there. So let's take a look at that. Let's see if we can't turn this on. No, that doesn't seem like that's going to do what we want it to. Let's see. Might a little bit here because it like kind of bounces up. Intersects a little bit. Yeah, seems like it does fix it a little there, but I think on the next one it's gonna freak itself out. Let's see what happens here. Just curious about the detangle, if that is gonna help us or not. Might be too much, might not be. We'll see. Sorry, I'm just taking a moment to just process it all in, see what's going on here. Oops, sorry. The microphone. Let's do a flip book of this actually, because we could. That's all simulated. So let's just go with it. See what it does. Just going to let this go on a loop for a second here, see what happens. Again, thanks for joining me tonight. Just kind of flying by the seat of our pants here, just seeing see what happens. Just got some cable stuff going on here. This is all really happening with one cable generator node, which is kind of interesting, and some Vellum solvers and constraints and things like that. There's a little bit of jittering there when they hit. I might be able to clean that up with doing like an orient, like along the curve, just to see if that helps it, because that might be causing it to actually like kind of freak out a little bit. So we'll see. Let's see how this keeps going here. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy with how that's looking. It's got a little bit of weirdness going on, but let's see. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I think it's definitely doing some weirdness here when this, right? And yeah, like right there goes boing. I don't know what's causing that, but something's making that do that. It's not happy. Yeah, maybe the detangle won't be what we want, but that's okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to come down here and do an orientation along curve. We'll just put that in there. See if that helps us. See if that sets something up a little better here for us. Let's do the target up as the y-axis. Let's see what this is doing for us here. Yep, okay. Let's see. See if that helps us. All right, let me just do another flip book here and see where this goes. Yeah, I think I see less of the of those cables trying to like flip all over the place, which is kind of good. They're not trying like so when you create an orient on a curve, you're basically telling it like along it, like where you're wanting the up vectors to be, the tangent vectors, things like that. So that's going to help it hopefully not cause there to be so many times where it tries to like flip itself around and kind of, fix its orientation. You're kind of trying to give it a sense of, you know, basically giving it the ability to stay in the same position it was when it started. So let's just see where this goes. I'm not sure what'll happen, but I don't think I see anything like really flipping around like crazy. Let's see. Yeah, like those before when they were falling in, they were like going like kind of flipping around a little bit. That detangle is still acting goofy, but that's okay. We'll just turn that off. All right, let's try one more. Let's see where this gets us. Wow, that's faster without the detangle. Crazy. We got cables everywhere. So the cool thing is, since the simulation doesn't have to rerun, like for our, I'm just gonna minimize this for our wires here, we could make some adjustments here. Like if we wanted to, say we wanted to do, where was that? Oh, here, add ends. If you wanted to add those ends to it, you don't have to sample it or anything like that. That'll just work fine the way it is. Or resim it, I should say. Maybe we don't want those. I don't know. It looks a little weird on these things here. So, in fact, I don't love that these are like kind of hanging out from the walls like that. So we might maybe just push these walls in a little bit. That might help us out. Just push the geometry in just a little bit after the fact, which we can do because we set this up to have this like kind of in this point that we're going to go from. So if we wanted to, we could then take this whole thing and scale it down just a little bit if we wanted to. So we could do like a transform here and just kind of cheat it a little bit and just scale ourselves. Oops, wrong side. This axis here, just like that. And then we could just have them like intersected into the wall a little bit. So like maybe 0.95, something like that. And then that way they're not going to they're just going to be kind of clipping through the wall and they're not going to be per se like, you're not going to see the end of them. So that's something we could do. Maybe we'll pull them back a little more. Sure, something like that. Whatever, that'll work. Sometimes you just got to cheat it a little. I mean, ultimately, I would want that to be perfectly connected there and maybe oriented properly, sticking straight out. But we're kind of doing this on a time frame a little here. So, cool. So those cables are all working. That's nice. Could scale them up a little more if we wanted to. We could turn the main curve. We can tweak all of these settings after the fact, which is kind of fun. We don't have to be using, specific settings because this is decoupled from our, this is actually decoupled from the simulation. So we could add a couple more cables in here if we wanted to, keep spacing them apart a little bit more. They jump around is kind of interesting to me. I'm sure it's a little bit of the fact that I'm just kind of pushing this as far as I can go with it. And I might be breaking it in certain ways, but I kind of wish that spacing was a little bit tighter together, I guess, like that it just stayed a little closer and they weren't so far apart, but spacing variation. That's right. That's also given us some trouble. There we go. We don't want it to be so crazy. That's the problem. Guess we just got too many variables here to play with. Turn that down a little. There we go. Oh, I like that now. It's like a hexagon bundle. That's kind of fun. Let's see, we'll turn the radius down a little bit on that. Maybe pull the spacing back a little. Oh, I like what that's doing. That's doing like a bundle of, yeah, fun. Gonna do that. Let's do some subcables here. See what we can't get with that. Um, let's see. We'll revert that to defaults. Let's go back a little bit here just so I can just kind of look at it in this context and not have to. Subcables, something like oh wow, that's a lot. That's a whole bunch of them there. Fun. Kind of curious what goes on here with these. If we kind of tweak this around. Sub radius, that's just how big they are, yeah. So we can make them a little smaller. Maybe just 2 is fine. We don't need that many of these crazy cables going on in here. A little more twist to them. Something like that. Cool. Oh, so who knows what's happening here? Could be some. Oh, wow. A lot of cables now. Yeah, the subcables could probably be at a random scale. That would be fine. And let's actually bring in some of that pseudo gravity. See how that works. See if that helps us out here. That might give us a little bit more, maybe a little bit more realism to these. Yeah, it's kind of like separating those apart a little bit. It's kind of fun. All right, let's see what that looks like in motion. Might not work, but let's see. Let's go back like this maybe. Different angle, but that's fine. Should probably have made a camera, but you know, live and learn. Back here, just clip it straight through. Just straight through. Oh, that's too bad. It looks like it's actually changing it every time it gets sourced in. Oh, that stinks. So every time that one of those cables is getting sourced in, it looks like it's jittering. It's going clunk, 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 clunk. Oh, that stinks. That is too bad. All right. Let's see. Is there anything we can do there with these subcables? Maybe if I do add post simulation. Let's see. See if that does it. Just going to watch it here. Let's see. Where do they pop in first? 36? Let's see where that goes. Hey, that might not have done it. Let's see. Let's see what that does for us. So the reason I picked not pre-simulation is because if it's a changing number of lines and there's another simulation happening there, it's going to probably lose track of, you know, where each of those paths are and what's going on with each of those, you know, different pieces of geometry that's coming in there. There's, you know, there's as you're having changing geometry in a simulation, that can cause all sorts of weird issues. It's going to change seed values. It could, you know, in other simulations, it could bring in velocities or things like that, or calculate things that you don't want it to. So possibly that could solve this issue. So let's just do another flip book here and just see where that gets us. Hopefully it doesn't jitter, and then that at least could be something that we could end up going with. It's not going to look as fun, but you know, it could be something. I think I'm going to try to dampen some of that bouncing out. Let's see. Is it changing it every time? I don't think so. All right. Well, we're getting somewhere here. I'm I'm not thrilled about some of these things, but maybe we can hide some of these issues in the background and we won't see them quite as much. We'll see. There's a little bit of clipping in the back there, which I'm like, I don't love that, but let's see if we can hide it. Who knows, right? Maybe we can hide it. So I think for the most part I'm happy with kind of how this is coming out. So we got all our cables falling in there. I don't know. Making cables. What are you going to do? All right. Let's just call that good so we can keep moving on here and see what else we can make. All right, so what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to have these just to, let me just see, polyfill, maybe polyfill the ends of these just to give them ends and do triangles, just something quick and easy. I don't think that should be too bad. Yeah, at least it'll just give them some sort of ends. Cool. All right, that's fine. That's looking fine. It'll be something for us to do. Let's do file cache, and it's going to be a frame range. It's not going to be a simulation. It is going to be a time dependent cache, and I'm going to call this simmed generated tables. So that'll be the name of it for the cache. Just remove that. Geo's fine. So this is going to go into the hip file folder /geo. It's going to create these frames for us, and yeah, should be good. So I'm going to do the save. First of all, I'm going to save my project. And I'm going to do save to disk in background. That's going to open this whole thing up. It's also going to run 16 of my tasks. So hopefully this will not lag me out of the internet or anything like that, and it won't be using up all my my CPU power. But basically what this is going to do now is open 16 subversions basically of Houdini in the background, and it is just going to start cranking through all these things and create a cache out of all of those so that I don't have to you know, so hopefully the calculation of this is a little bit faster, and if for some reason my sim gets, you know, kicked back or whatever, I can just run this. So we're gonna let that go. It's kind of starting up in the background, and there they go, starting to pop some files out. So that's great and looking good. I could have also cached out right from this Vellum solver, but I don't know. I think it's fine. I don't think we really have to worry too much about that. So yeah, we'll just let that go. Like I said, it's doing 16 at a time, so those are going to kind of run in the background while we're going here. So the nice thing is I can just kind of keep moving around here. There's a couple empty frames in here because it's kind of starting in the middle, but you know, as it writes those, it's gonna have. It looks like it's about 20 frames in now, so that'll just keep rolling from there. And now it's pretty quick, pretty responsive. All right, so we got our cables here. looking cool, something interesting. Maybe we'll do them like, let's see where that goes. Let's see, where does our, no, we're not there yet. All right, so let's get a camera in here. Put a camera down. Let's see, maybe it'll be in like this. I don't know. That's fine for now. Turn that off. What do we want to do? All right, so let's do this. Let's start messing around with this alley here. And let's start to tweak some of this geometry here. So okay. Let's see if we can't do something over here. Let's turn on the camera. Let's select maybe these faces here. And let's do a labs. What was that called? Lot. Yeah, let's try that. The lot subdivision. Hey, that's fun. Ah, you know what? We don't want it all the way around there. That's interesting. There's no group settings here. Kind of fascinating. All right. Well, then what I'll do instead is I will. So I don't want it to go all the way around. It doesn't really need to. Let's take this and we'll just do a split. This. Just no reason to be calculating those back sides if we don't need to be. So there's those sides. Great. We'll do a lot subdivision. Then we can just do some, let's see here. Minimum lot size. Let's up these subdivisions, see what we can't do here. 15. I think those are too small. So let's just go a little bigger here. Maybe 0.25 will be good. Yeah, sure. All right, let's do some greebly kind of stuff here. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing I did for my lot subdivision thing, I guess. Do we have normals here first, actually, before I get into that? No, I do not. That was silly. All right, so I'm gonna add some normals here just so that we can make sure that we're displacing this in the proper direction. Split that here. Still got normals. Sure do. Great. All right, so I'm gonna do an float, attribute adjust float. This will be a primitive. It'll also be Z scale. And we're going to do pattern maybe? I don't know. Let's try noise. Add, that sounds good. Yep, sounds good. All right, so we're going to do a poly extrude. Let's put this down here. Make sure we got Z scale on. Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. Gotta scale it. That's part of the problem. There we go. Cool. So now we got some geometry going on here in this little, I don't know, whatever this is, little caverny thing here. Looks a little funky from the back. Don't look behind the curtain. Merge those back in together like that, and there you go. They're clean. It's clean now. Don't look back there. What else do we want to do? That is definitely some instant kind of sci-fi stuff. Actually, might be too many iterations. Nope. I like more than that, though. Let's see. 12, 13. Yeah, maybe 15. Sure. We'll stay there. The other thing actually I'm going to do, which I did before and I really liked, was if we go into the attribute of just float and we do uniform with outliers, we'll actually get some that really pop out of here. So I'm actually going to bring this back a little bit. So maybe the distance is 0.25, maybe something like that. And then for the outliers, we can actually push those maybe out a little further. There we go. I don't think I want 15% of them. Let's just do like 2 for the outlier range and then maybe like 5%. Just have a couple of them really sticking out far. You can see here there's like a few that just really jut out. So that's kind of interesting. Maybe 7.5. Just push a little bit more of them out of there. Maybe this is 3 instead. Cool. Just gives it a little bit more dimension to it. Let's look back at our camera here. Great. Got them falling down. Hey, what's happening? Do we fail here? No, that's Ronan. Okay. Just taking a minute. Calculate out all this geo for us. Cool. Let's just take a look at that. See if those are gigantic. Maybe I shouldn't have been saving those out. Geo here, version 1. Nah, they're not huge. It's just doing them all at the same time. I probably should have had them. Maybe I should have done it as a simulation. That might have been actually quicker instead of trying to do 16 of them at the same time. Oh well, it's going. Can't complain. All right, so we've got our canyon here. We've got that going on. What else should we do here? I think I'm just gonna do some sort of like night sky type thing up there. So nothing too crazy with that. What else? What else? What else? Oh, I think I know what I wanted to do. I think I want to have some like maybe like a fog volume or something, just something to make some break up here. Let's see. Let's just do that. Let's do geo. Let's call this fog. Sure, just fog, whatever. It's fine. What I'm going to do is do an object merge. I'm going to bring in the alley. Wait, what did I do here? Did I pick the wrong one? I think I did. Yep, I did. All right, let's take the alley, call basic alley geo right there. In fact, I should set this again, and I'll go down here and do null. I'll call this alley geo. That will be green because that's like my end one. I like to color my end nodes green for some reason. Who knows why? All right, so that's the basic LEGO right here, which is what we want because we want to bring in just the simple stuff. We don't need any of the greebles or any of that crazy stuff. So we'll bring just that in. And what I'm going to do is just do a bound. Nice, simple bound. Nothing crazy. Then we can do a VDB from Polygon. Create a VDB from that. That will be a fog volume. Instead, we'll do a density volume like so. Got a lot of voxels there, but sure. That's fine. That'll be fine. A little too dense right now, so let's actually, isn't there a volume like yeah, there is. Volume noise fog. What is this? Oh, nice. Oh, this is fantastic. I think this is a new node that they added in actually not too long ago. Oh gosh, that's so great. Don't even have to do this stuff anymore. Man, if only it was this easy when I was first learning Houdini. Oh well. So normally what I would do is do some sort of a volume VOP and put a noise in there, break up the density with it. This is basically doing the same thing. In fact, in here is probably, it's literally doing that in here. So there's a volume VOP in here that's, calculating all the stuff. So you can give a big old thank you to Side Effects for adding in some more fun, simple noise, what do you call it? Nodes. Yeah. I forgot the word node just now. So yeah. I'm going to do multiply instead here because what we want it to do is actually, cancel out these things. We don't want, like with add, what you're doing is you're just simply adding in those values on top of the density. The density is like in this case, a 0 to 1 value. And so unfortunately, in that case, it's just, it's causing the volume to stay at a base of 1 and then be added up to 2 or whatever. In this case, it's actually removing it. It's either going into the negatives or whatever. It's able to actually go down in scale. So the other thing I want to make sure is that maybe we up the octaves a little, maybe like 5, just to create some more detail in there. Animation, sure, we can animate it. Why not? We'll do the pulse duration pretty slow though, so it doesn't move too fast. Let's see what that's doing. Ooh, that actually looks pretty quick though. That's kind of strange. Huh. Actually seems... Second. Am I thinking of this the wrong way? Sure am. That's right. So I don't know why I was thinking of it the other way. I think I was thinking of it as speed, and I want the speed to go down, but I want the duration of the pulse to go up. So I want it to be taking longer to go through its like loop basically. So I don't know. Let's do 3 seconds. 3. I'm assuming that's 3 seconds. That's looking good. Now maybe we have a little bit too much in here. Well, we'll turn it down a little. Let's do 0.2. Maybe that'll be fine. I don't know. Who knows? Basically, I just want to have some volume in there that can just kind of help, create an interesting look. This will probably be super, super light. It won't be that dense. We can turn that down in the renderer, obviously. And if we do like a volume visualize, like this, we can turn the density down and we can see that it's just, just give it a little something like that. And it'll be something like that it's going to be moving in here. So it'll just be like a little bit of fog, just kind of moving around. Nothing crazy. But it looks like this right now, so you can't see anything, unfortunately. But cool. You can always try these other, different noise types and things like that, but simplex is fine. And you can animate it too, which is, I guess, kind of nice. Could also do a zero-centered noise, which will break it up a little differently because it'll give you positive and negative values. And from there, we could actually set the minimum to be 0. And now we actually have like these almost like pockets of, pockets of basically fog in here that we could see. So we could, maybe that's fine. Maybe that's going to be more what we'd want. It's just like some random little fog moving around like that. Let's actually turn this VDB back up to maybe 1.15. Just don't want to have too little, volume in there and really have it not working well. Just kind of keep playing around here. Doesn't look bad. What if I turn the octaves back down a little here? No, it's fine. You could play around with these other fractal types as well. Just kind of extra noise on top of the bass just to kind of break it up. Let's try that. Maybe we do 0. Oh, wow. That actually did a lot. That was way different than I expected it to be. 1.5? Yeah, maybe it's that. Maybe it's like 1.5 is what we just give it a little something. I don't know. We'll try it out. See what happens. But this is nice because it actually has pockets where there's not going to be any density. So that'll be kind of an interesting look, I hope. And maybe what I do as well here will be take this bound and go up a little bit in the upper Y padding, just so it's not like clipped to the edge of that. So let's say it's another 10 meters. Nah, it's probably too much. Maybe 5 meters, just so it doesn't just end right at the edge of this, you know. Hopefully that'll look fine. Something like that. All right, cool. So I'm just going to put down another null here. Out fog. All we have is a VDB density. Great. Should be fine. Get rid of that volume visualization. That was just helping us a little bit there for a second. Color this node green. Color that green. Let's see how this looks. You're getting close there. Oh, wow. Sort of. Got a lot more frames to go here. All right. Just going to hide that so we're not kind of visually fighting with ourselves there. All right. I'm thinking maybe we have some of those like panels on the wall like glowing or something. I don't know. I'm like just trying to think of ways to like make this a little bit more interesting. So maybe we do that. Maybe we have a couple of those panels on the wall glow. So let's do that. So we've got the poly extrude here. Then we can come down here and could probably actually do it. Sorry, right here. Now we should be able to get just these a group with just these front panels, I would think. So let's see here. Extrusion. Let's do the front group. So that'll be all the extrude front. So, and I think there's actually a random selection. Let's see what this does. I haven't used this one before. Primitives. All right, let's see. Oh, well, that's, I mean, good gracious. That's perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. 0.05 maybe. Well, wow, that's amazing. Amazingly easy. Let's do random from, oops. Let's do maybe just random. No, just seeing exactly what this outputs here for us. Giving us the color. Oh, right. This is only doing it in that. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to do another split here. And we're going to take just that front group. So we're going to do extruded front. This can go into here. And then from this, we can just do a random selection here. Or no, you know what? We could probably do create group from selected. Perfect. That's what I want. I don't want to color the selected because we can actually adjust that in a second. So, this is all looking good. Cool. So now we have a group here that's selected, and we can just do a color attribute adjust color. And from here, we can choose the selected group. We can do a set a constant. We can do not a color map. We can do a remap from a color ramp, and then we can use no, we're just gonna do it a point color, I get. I know. Sorry. Just thinking here. There we go. So we can do it that way. We can do it as a primitive color. There we go. Because we're going to want to, we can set it back to a point attribute later, but I just want to make sure that it's only selecting it on, like it's making the whole primitive that color basically. I don't want it to have like individual point random colors. All right, there we go. So we go set initial, random, color ramp. So it's going to randomly select from this color ramp. Let's see what colors we could use here. Be kind of fun. Kind of interesting colors there. Like purples and pinks and stuff. Sure, why not? Let's do it. The other thing I want to do is from this selection is set another attribute. I'm going to call this, just do an attribute create because that's all I really need to do. I'm going to call this emission or just emit, I think. So the default will be 0. These values will be 1. So if we look at those, they'll all have a value of 1. Those will be good there. And I will actually promote those colors back to a point. So we'll do an attribute promote. Basically what we're doing with an attribute promote is bringing those from one, level to another, one class to another. So we're going from primitive to point. That will be color. And so now these are point colors, and we don't want to be fade like that though. That is not what we want. We want to do exactly. It's doing that. I mean, I understand why it's doing it because it's seeing the color here. Oh, okay. It's seeing these colors as one. All right, let me just do this. Let me set the color first before I do this. I'm gonna set the color for everything. Oops, way back up here. Oop. Set that as black because that's mainly what I want them to be. So black. Here, we're gonna have some random. Black, okay. It's like, what's happening here? Lot subdivision. Oh, didn't like that actually. Huh, interesting. Need to color it again. Guess it must just get rid of that geometry. All right, there we go. Back to the black. Extruded. Okay, now I got the color. So now we've got this. Interesting. Okay, I see. I'm just gonna have to set these all to primitive attributes, unfortunately, because I think that's where we're going wrong here. So if I set that primitive, here we don't have a color there. All right, great. Not sure why it's doing that. Hmm. That didn't work. All right. I just saw that there was a cluster attribute here that was random. Just trying to think why that's not working. Hmm. So this color is coming through here, and just doesn't seem to want to. Doesn't seem to want to go all the way through. All right, I'm going to put this back to a point attribute because that's really what it wants to be. It's a point. This also wants to be a point. I'll set that back. And let's try not to have to promote this and see if we can't get this to work. There we go. That's what I want to do, I think. All right. So set this back to a point attribute. Now these colors are funky here because it is acting a little weird, but okay, here's what we're going to do instead. We've got all these different primitives here, right? We've got all these different polygons and stuff, right? So what I'm going to do is split this out with a activity. Let's actually reduce this selection anyways. Let's have this be, oh no, wait, that selection's fine. This is going to put it into that selected group. Yes. Okay, cool. So let's actually, sorry, just thinking. Let's do, sure, connectivity. So I'm going to make a class attribute that's going to be for each of these primitives, right? So each primitive gets its own class attribute here by connectivity, basically, which will work good because then we won't have random like fading across these things. Then what we can do is we can actually promote that to points. So we can promote the class like this. So now the points have class attribute. That's fine. Then we can go down here and we can tell it to custom attribute by class. Now they're all random by class. They're still fading. Why are they still fading? That doesn't make any sense. You right there. Why fade? Why are you fading? Okay, so what I'm going to do instead here, I think this selection might not be what I want exactly. So I think this selection, if I color them, that. Okay, so that's part of our issue here is that these are only a part of this connected polygon group that's getting colored, right? So instead of that, let's do, let's see if we can grow that group. Let's do group, expand. Can we expand it to connected geometry? Boom, there we go. Okay, so if we flood fill to connected geometry, we're going to say the group name is selected. Let's try class. Attribute promote that. I don't think it's going to want that. Sorry, base group is selected. That's what we want to do. There we go. Right. Now we got solid colors. Why are we not Oh, why are we not getting that? Oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me. Okay. Attribute promote. Here, now we'll take class from the primitives. Since we already did our expansion there, we're going to move it from primitive to point. That we can now use as our attribute. And we're good. Okay. Jeez. Couldn't have been simpler, guys. Couldn't have been simpler. It was first try. Absolutely insane. Sometimes the easiest things, you know. All right. And what I'm probably going to do now is just turn the random selection down a little bit just cuz there might be a couple too many. So there we go. All right. We did it. So now we've got emit set to 1, but that is set on all of them, and we want it just to be set on the selected group, which it now should be. You can see the colors are changed here. Second, where did our black color go? That's a problem. It was deleting all existing color attributes. We don't want that. Okay. The other thing we're going to attribute promote is, it is it point attribute already? Okay, it is all point attributes. Great. Sorry, this is what I get when I'm doing this super fast. So my apologies. Hopefully you're following along. If you are not, please let me know, and I would be happy to go back and clarify anything that I might have just in a haze gone over. Excuse my water. All right, we've got our attribute promote here. Got this. Let's merge this back in. Let's make it clean by moving it up. There's everything merged back together. Lovely. I'm going to do a fuse as well, just to make sure that there's nothing like not connect, everything's connected basically. I don't really mind that it's going to fade down like that. Actually, it's kind of a cool look now that I see that. I'm like, actually, really like that. Cool. If we want to undo that, we always can, but okay. So the other thing too, just to look at is like emit should be defaulting mainly to 0, which it is. So that's great. What we could do as well is we could visualize that. So let's go to I to emit, and we can see where the red is, it's emitting, where the blue is, it's not, which is exactly what we want, it seems like. So perfect. All right, so we got our alley geometry. Let's turn off the emit. And, oh, we should probably put a ground plane down as well. Let's just do a grid, something simple. Call this geo ground. Like so. Let's make that grid a little bigger. And green. Go inside and just go like this. And like that. There we go. Cool. We've got our ground. Sky will be open. No problem. Let's see. Do we get all of our frames? Good gracious. I messed that up, unfortunately. But hey, that's what we're here for. We're here to figure things out. Should have just done it as a simulation and just let it go one at a time. That would have probably been way more efficient. Got our cables. Actually, for that too, I think I'm going to go into here and maybe we do something with that as well, where the cables might be able to be like slightly different colors or something. So maybe we do like, first of all, is just make sure it's got like the stuff we want on it. It's got normals, UVs, things like that. Okay, cool. That all looks good. Just do maybe a connectivity again, just to get that. And we got class. We can do it by point. Sure, that's fine. Let's see what our class is here. Yep, that looks good. And then just do a color. Hopefully be a little bit easier to do. Turn this off. Let's do a random from maybe just from specific values. We'll set this always CD. Let's do a couple colors. We'll just do like a couple different like blacks and grays and stuff. And then that way we can kind of set those all to something interesting. Oh, and here again, we're getting that problem where if we have it set to element number, does it per point? So let's do custom attribute and we can just do class. There we go. Great. I'm going to turn the UVs off because I don't really want to see those. We can see the colors a little bit better this way. So we've got a black. Let's do like a dark gray. Let's do like a lighter gray, something like that. And let's have him mostly be black, a little bit less of the dark gray, and then even less of the lighter gray. Something like that, maybe. I don't know. Just spitballing. So now we got some mixture of colors there. And in fact, actually, let's not have this be all the way black. Let's have this be like there. So let's just kind of shift these down a little bit. Maybe like that. Because you never really have anything that's truly black. So might as well just bring it back a little bit. I'll do a null here. The only reason I'm doing this is because the shaders can read in these colors, and sometimes it's easier to just randomize them here in the viewport and just call it a day. So 13 more to go. Jeez. All right, that's going to be out right there. Neat. Cool, cool, cool. Just trying to think if there's anything else that I want to set up here. I think that's feeling pretty good. Think again, I'm going to set this up in Solaris as I have done a few times. In fact, I think all of the times I've done this year. So let's just do that. We'll do Solaris. Like so. Scene import. And might take us, okay. It's not bringing any of the objects in, so that's good. All right, so I'm going to put this into geoscope here, and also I'm going to make a new pane type Solaris scenecraft tree and collapse that down so we can see what's going on here. All right, so let's bring in some objects. So actually, we're just going to bring everything in, and the camera as well. I could just do a wildcard star here for everything. Bring it all in. There it is. Look at that. It's all in Solaris. We did it. All done. Got our colors here, all that kind of stuff, so that's good. Nice and quick too. Cool. All right. So just make sure that into the import data, let's just make sure we're bringing in the attributes that we've created and things like that. You know, hopefully those will be helpful if we need them. I think we're good here. I'm just going to check. Yep, that's good. We got alley, cable, ground. Oh, the volume isn't coming in, probably because I don't have it visualized. Yes, that's why. So here we are in Solaris. We've got our fog. It's coming in as a volume. There's the density. It's an OpenVDB asset. All great. All good. Cool. Just trying to think what I want to do exactly here. let's do a material library. I think I can hide this fog. Yep, just like that. Hit the little eyeball there and that'll hide it. So I don't have to like look at that craziness. All right, let's go into our material library. I'm just going to make a principled shader at first here. That'll be for like our regular geometry and things like that. It's using the point color and all types of things of that nature. Let's just maybe set the base color to white because I think it might multiply it by the color if it needs. I don't know. I'll just leave it like that. So I'll just call this like just base for right now, just to make sure everything like the colors are coming in and stuff like that. So let's do that. And what else? Oh, yes. There's an XPU Pyro preview because I want to render this eventually in XPU, so this should work fine. So we've got our density scale here, and that's really all we need to worry about. Let's do a linker. Do a material linker just because it's a little more visually interesting. And I realize that I like turning this filter based on selection off. So let's just select both of these, bring them into the middle. Then we can grab our geo. And for right now, we're just going to put alley cable ground into the base. And then the fog in like that. Then we need some lights. Let's do a light. Maybe I'll just do a distant light to start, just to get some like directional light going on here. What? Okay. I thought that should have done it, but that's okay. Let's do a T and move this up. Just see what oh, there we go. It's facing in the wrong direction, no wonder. So if I bring it like this, maybe just like down like so. Actually, maybe a little bit more like that might be better. Let's see, can I rotate this just, yeah, there we go, perfect. I have it kind of just glancing in a little bit from the top. I'm going to go back to the camera here, camera 1, great. And let's put a karma down just to start it off. All right. So, all right, I'm going to save this, make sure it doesn't screw anything up. I'm also going to change the camera here to camera 1, make sure that's correct. Let's change it to karma, see what happens. Fingers crossed. Not super interesting so far. That's a slight bummer. Let's see here. Let's see what's going on. Say this should be 15 just so we can. No, wanted karma there. Let me go back to the camera here, and I'm just going to try to rotate this around a little bit to make sure it's not just a problem of. Interesting. It's like that black wall is just like absorbing all the light. It's really weird. Let me just do a dome light as well here. I'm going to do a dome light. Just be a standard. Okay. All right. Weird. Maybe the distant light just wasn't bright enough. That must have been what it was. Yeah, maybe that's all it was. Anyways, all right, let's put a dome light on here. Let's do it. Let's find some sort of texture that's going to work for us. D resources. HDRI. See if I can't find something that's nighttime. And I wish I spoke these language, whatever language these were all made in. I should rename them. All right, I'm going to go to my old friend Adobe Bridge because it'll look at all those files for me. So please give me one moment. All right, let's see. Resources here. There we go. That's something nighttime. Kind of cool, I guess. Yeah, let's do that. Coffee, sure. Coffee bar, whatever that says. Great. Of course, I should think coffee bar would be the one. Going to turn off this distant light here. All right. Now we're getting somewhere. Let's see if we can't get some light to do something interesting here. I don't think the distant light's what we're going to want. Let's do something. Well, first of all right, so we got things sort of working here. Let's get a new shader here for the, let's just make a copy of this and we'll call this one Alley. And let's see here. We should be able to we'll do use point color for emission. And so if we turn up the emission intensity, it won't do anything because that's actually not even it's applied to anything in here yet. So let's go to material linker. So we're going to do Alley. We're going to remove, oops, Alley here. Remove that one, accept. Then we're going to do the Alley down here. Hey, all right. Now that's just plain fun. That's just something. Oh, that sky needs to get darker because that's just too much fun right there. All right, let's set this back because it probably doesn't need to be at 6. Let's see, maybe 2. Oh yeah. Yep. I like what's going on there. All right, so let's tweak some stuff here. We turn the reflection roughness down on this to like 0.15 so we can get some like little reflections here and things like that. This ground plane needs to get colored because I don't think I actually set a color on that. So let's do that as well. We'll call this one ground. Okay. What I'm going to do is instead of using point color, I'm going to just set this because I think it's a little too dark overall. I want to like lighten it up just a little bit. It's like maybe it's 0.25, something like that. I don't know. Yeah, that feels a little better. And the sky needs to get adjusted. Let's see if we can bring the exposure down on it. See what happens if we rotate it around. I definitely don't want it to be any brighter than that, so that should work. All right, let's get crazy here. Let's try this. See if we bring this on, if this does anything good for us. Probably nothing super great. That's the volume that we brought on there. So we got the fog set. All right, let me bring the ground in here. Right, I'll turn the fog back off because that's not doing us any favors yet. Let's go to the ground. Put the ground like this and remove it from here. I think I actually am going to want to brighten these up a little bit because they're seemingly a little dark. But we'll work on that in a moment. All right, so let's look at this. Let's do the ground. I am going to not use the point color, and I'm going to set this to be a bit darker. Probably the same, 0.25. Roughness is kind of interesting there. It's giving us some cool like reflections. Kind of interesting. Yeah. So I'm just going to set this like 0.1 just to bring the density down on that. See if we can turn that back on. Yeah, well, it's definitely doing something. Let's grab a, I don't know. See, maybe just like a point light for right now and just see what that does for us. Axis up here and okay. Well, it's definitely, I don't know, I think it must have gone into a cable or something there. Let's see what this looks like up here. Oh, yeah. Okay. Sure. That's not nothing. All right, so here's my idea. Let's do a instead of doing point lights, let's do a few quad lights up there. So let's do this. Quad, nope. Isn't that, is it area light? Yep, there we go. Area light. So I'm going to bring this up to here. Going to rotate it. Minus 90 degrees. I think that's seeming right. Maybe it's pointing the wrong direction. Hold on, let me see. Definitely taking a second with that volume. Yeah, it is pointing the wrong direction. All right, so we don't want it negative 90 in that axis. I want it in the X. All right, let me turn this volume off just for a second. It's taken too long to render. There we go. All right, so that's looking down just like that. If we, went crazy with this, obviously we're gonna have a nice bright area light. So let's see here. Maybe 5. All right, so let's do this. I'm gonna do a really long like strip of light here, I think. So let's maybe do like 15 across and maybe like 0.5, something like that. Just like a thin strip. And then there a way to do... It's shaping. Interesting. I don't see that. That's too bad. Oh, I guess there is. Look at that. Right. I just want a couple like low spread lights here. So let's see if I can't. Is there a duplicate? There is. Could I do that with a light? I wonder. All right, I'm going to set this back into Houdini GL just so we're not... Oh, wow. That's crazy looking. I'm just setting it back to this so I'm not like doing anything too crazy. And let's put this in here. It's probably going to freak out for a second there, but let's take in the lights and I'm going to do area light 1. Stick that in there. That's kind of cool. It's deactivating the source primitive. That's cool. All right, so sure enough. Right, so I'm going to take this one, bring this way down here, like so, and then just these. Might be too many. Maybe we only want like 3. I don't know. We'll do something like that, and I think I'm even going to bring this first one up quite a bit. Now we might see some of these cables like pop up there, but whatever. Should be fine. Not going to be too big of a deal, I don't think, but we'll see. All right, let's go back to the camera here. Camera 1. That. Let's do karma. See what happens here. I am going to set this exposure to 10, maybe. Nope, way too bright. Whoops. Let's do it to... And I'm going to turn the fog back on. That's certainly going to do some different things for us here. All right. 7. Yeah, that's maybe going to be interesting. Let this thing resolve. All right. Well, I think I'm starting to get somewhere with this. I usually use Karma XPU for this. And so as a result, things get a little crazy. It doesn't really love working with my graphics card running and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully you're seeing kind of where this look is going. You know, what we're doing here. But just for sake of my sanity and speed and things like that, I think I'm going to have to sign off and start cranking over on XPU because, like I said, that's not going to make my computer too happy with streaming and doing all this stuff at the same time. So yeah, so hopefully you got something out of this. Like I said, I was kind of just, you know, we're a little bit flying by the seat of our pants here, but you know, hopefully it was something interesting and you got something out of it. Best of luck on all of your Mardini submissions that you're putting out there. Keep up the great work. I'm probably going to stream tomorrow night as well. I don't remember what the note is for tomorrow off the top of my head. I think it might be the sci-fi panels maybe, but we'll see. I already did something sci-fi tonight, so who knows. But anyways, thank you guys so much for joining me tonight on Houdini Hangout. Not Mardini. This is Houdini Hangout. And yeah, thanks for joining me, and really appreciate hearing from all you guys. And sorry for any internet issues we might have tonight, but yeah, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.